Section: Introduction. In this section, we discuss the challenges of capturing the dynamic 3D world around us. The images and videos we take only provide a limited view of this reality, making it difficult to create accurate models of our ever-changing environment. This challenge is significant for fields like robotics, filmmaking, video games, and augmented reality. To achieve accurate 3D and 4D models, we need a large set of consistent images from multiple viewpoints. While this is possible in controlled settings, it can be tough to replicate in most real-world environments. For 4D reconstruction, we require synchronized videos from multiple angles, which is often impractical for everyday users. To address these challenges, we explore data-driven methods that use learned 3D generative models to enhance 3D reconstruction quality. The success of these methods relies on having high-quality datasets of multi-view images. While we have plenty of data for static scenes, the same cannot be said for dynamic 4D scenes due to the complexity of capturing synchronized footage. Some approaches have tried to improve 4D reconstruction using geometric constraints and depth maps, but they still struggle with artifacts when viewed from new angles, especially if the input only partially captures the scene. In our work, we utilize various real and synthetic data sources to learn a generative model that supports 4D reconstruction. We draw inspiration from successful generative models for static scenes and develop a multi-view video diffusion model. This model can convert a single video into multiple views, allowing us to reconstruct dynamic 3D scenes. Our model can take any number of images from different angles and times and generate the scene's appearance from new viewpoints. Since there is limited real-world data for dynamic scenes, we train our model using a mix of static scene images, fixed viewpoint videos, synthetic 4D data, and additional sources enhanced by pre-trained models. We train our model to produce a consistent set of frames from specified viewpoints and times, but due to resource limitations, it generates a limited number of frames at once. To overcome this, we propose a sampling strategy to create an unlimited collection of consistent multi-view videos. We then use these generated videos to build a dynamic 3D model by optimizing a flexible 3D Gaussian representation with a photometric reconstruction loss. We evaluate our system, CAT4D, on various tasks. First, we demonstrate our model's ability to generate images from new viewpoints and times using sparse input images. Next, we show its capability to perform static 3D reconstruction in dynamic scenes, which is a common issue for previous methods. We also assess our model's performance in 4D reconstruction from monocular videos with moving cameras, showing that our results are comparable to state-of-the-art models that rely on multiple external sources, which our model does not need. Finally, we highlight our model's ability to generate impressive 4D results from fixed viewpoint videos that include multiple dynamic objects, unlike most previous works that focus on single objects. Section Summary. In this section, we discuss the challenges of reconstructing dynamic 3D scenes from limited visual data and present our approach, CAT4D, which utilizes a multi-view video diffusion model to generate consistent multi-view videos from monocular inputs. Our method allows for effective 4D reconstruction without relying on extensive synchronized capture setups, demonstrating capabilities in generating images from novel viewpoints and performing sparse view static 3D reconstruction amidst scene motion. Section: Method. In this section, we present CAT4D, a two-step method for generating a dynamic 3D scene from a single video input. First, we convert the monocular video into a multi-view video using a diffusion model. Next, we reconstruct the dynamic 3D scene by optimizing a flexible 3D Gaussian representation based on the generated multi-view videos. We will first explain our multi-view video diffusion model and the training datasets we have carefully selected. Then, we will discuss how our model can achieve few-view, bullet-time, 3D reconstruction. Finally, we will outline our strategy for generating nearly consistent multi-view videos and our method for creating exactly consistent dynamic Gaussian models. For our multi-view video diffusion model, we train it to take a set of views from a dynamic 3D scene, where each view includes an image along with its camera settings and time. The model learns to produce target images at specific viewpoints and times based on these input views. We utilize a diffusion model that builds on CAT4D's framework, incorporating time conditions into the architecture. We encode time conditions using a sinusoidal positional embedding and a two-layer neural network, which we then combine with the diffusion timestep information. During training, we randomly drop either the time conditions or both the time and image conditions to allow for separate guidance. We sample from the model using a technique that does not rely on classifiers, where we adjust two guidance scales to improve time alignment and consistency with other conditions. We initialize our model with existing checkpoints from CAT4D and train it using 3 input views and 13 target views, setting specific guidance scale values for our experiments. Regarding dataset curation, we aim to separate camera and time controls effectively. Ideally, we would train on a large dataset of multi-view videos capturing dynamic scenes from various angles, but such datasets are not widely available due to the high cost of synchronized video capture. While we can create synthetic datasets, they often lack the diversity needed for real-world applications. Therefore, we carefully select a mix of synthetic and real datasets to cover different camera and scene motions. We filter our video dataset to include only those with a static viewpoint to avoid confusion between time and camera motion. To address the lack of real data for specific scenarios, we apply data augmentations. We use samples from the Colorado 3D dataset to generate animated videos without camera movement and create new views from our filtered video dataset using CAT4D. Although the augmented images may not be perfect, they help our model learn to distinguish between camera and time control more effectively. Section Summary. In this section, we present CAT4D, a two-stage method for generating dynamic 3D scenes from monocular videos by first creating multi-view videos using a diffusion model, and then reconstructing the 3D scene with a deformable Gaussian representation. We also detail our training dataset curation process, which combines real and synthetic data to effectively disentangle camera and scene motion controls. Section: Sparse View Bullet Time 3D Reconstruction. In this section, we discuss our model's application for sparse view static 3D reconstruction in dynamic scenes. Our goal is to create a bullet time effect using only a few posed images of a moving scene. We achieve this through a two-step process similar to CAT4D. First, we utilize a diffusion model with an anchored sampling strategy to generate a set of new views at a specific target time. We begin by creating anchor views by setting all target times to match one of the input times. Then, we divide the target views into batches and generate each batch based on the closest anchor views. Finally, we reconstruct the 3D scene using a standard 3D reconstruction model, incorporating an additional perceptual loss for better quality. Next, we focus on generating consistent multi-view videos to facilitate 4D reconstruction. We convert the input monocular video into a multi-view format. When the input video has enough camera movement, we select specific camera viewpoints using farthest point sampling. Our aim is to create a grid of images from these viewpoints. Although our model is designed to generate a limited number of frames, we implement a sampling strategy that alternates between generating multi-view images and temporal images. We condition our model on a set number of input frames to ensure we capture the most relevant information. For multi-view sampling, we generate images at all selected cameras by creating sliding windows of frames and taking the pixel-wise median to reduce variance. This process ensures that the results are consistent across multiple views, though they may lack temporal consistency. Conversely, for temporal sampling, we generate images at all times for each camera using a similar sliding window method, which ensures temporal consistency but may not be consistent across views. To achieve both types of consistency, we alternate between multi-view and temporal sampling, using results from previous iterations to refine our outputs. We perform 3 iterations of sampling, progressively initializing from previous results at different noise levels. This approach yields multi-view videos that are consistent enough for accurate 4D reconstruction, provided the input video adequately covers the scene. For videos with minimal camera movement, we generate new viewpoints to enhance 4D reconstruction. We first create novel views and add them to the input frames before applying our alternating sampling strategy. To further improve coverage, we condition on the generated views and create additional views using a nearest anchoring strategy. In our experiments, we set specific parameters for the number of views generated and utilize MONS3R to obtain camera parameters for unposed videos. More details can be found in the supplementary materials. Section Summary. In this section, we describe our approach for sparse view static 3D reconstruction from dynamic scenes, utilizing a two-step method that generates novel views through a diffusion model and then reconstructs the 3D scene. We also outline our strategy for creating consistent multi-view videos from monocular input, employing alternating multi-view and temporal sampling techniques to ensure both multi-view and temporal consistency for accurate 4D reconstruction. Section 4D Reconstruction. In this section, we explore 4D reconstruction. Our alternating sampling method produces multi-view videos that are consistent enough for use in current 4D reconstruction processes. We build upon 4DGS, which models a dynamic 3D scene using a collection of 3D Gaussians in a canonical space, adjusted by a deformation field defined by K-planes. For more details, we refer to the supplementary material. In our experiments, we first assess our model's capability to independently control the camera viewpoint and the dynamics of the scene. Using 3 input images, we generate 3 types of output sequences with our diffusion model, one with a fixed viewpoint and changing time, another with a changing viewpoint and fixed time, and a third with both changing. We evaluate our approach on the NSFF dataset, which includes ground truth frames from 12 synchronized cameras across 8 real-world dynamic scenes. For each scene, we test 8 different sets of randomly sampled input images. We compare our results with 4DIM, a recent method that uses a cascaded diffusion model to create images based on specific viewpoints and timestamps. Our findings, shown in figures and tables, reveal that 4DIM struggles to separate camera control from scene motion, leading to unintended movements of dynamic objects even when only the camera viewpoint is meant to change. In contrast, our model successfully decouples these controls and produces higher quality images overall. Next, we evaluate sparse view bullet time 3D reconstruction using the NSFF dataset with 3 input images. We test 4 different sets of randomly sampled input images for each scene and compare our results with 2 versions of CAT4D, one using all 3 input images and the other using just 1 image at the target time. Our qualitative and quantitative comparisons, presented in figures and tables, show that CAT4D with 3 inputs fails to resolve inconsistencies, resulting in blurry renderings, especially in dynamic areas. Meanwhile, CAT4D with 1 input does not address dynamic inconsistencies but cannot utilize information from other images to accurately determine the global scene scale. Our multi-view video diffusion model achieves the most accurate 3D scene reconstruction at the target time. We also assess dynamic scene reconstruction from monocular video using the die-check dataset, which includes video sequences with 200 to 500 frames of complex real-world motion. We test 5 scenes with 2 synchronized static cameras for novel view synthesis evaluation. Our comparisons with the baseline 4DGS and leading dynamic reconstruction methods, shape of motion and MOSCA, show that our method significantly enhances reconstruction quality. While our results are comparable to those of shape of motion and MOSCA, those models rely on additional supervisory signals, such as depth maps and user-provided masks, whereas we only use straightforward photometric losses. Furthermore, CAT4D can create 4D scenes from generated content by first producing a monocular video sequence using a text-to-video or image-to-video model. Unlike real captures, these generated videos may contain inconsistent elements that do not adhere to physical 3D constraints and often lack the necessary camera motion for most advanced reconstruction methods. We present a collection of these results, but we recommend viewing the supplementary video for a better understanding. In our ablation study, we emphasize the importance of multi-view and temporal consistency for high-quality 4D creation. We compare our alternating sampling strategy to 4 simpler methods: multi-view sampling only, temporal sampling only, independent multi-view sampling without overlap, and independent temporal sampling without overlap. Our evaluations on the NSFF dataset demonstrate that our alternating sampling strategy enhances sample quality. We also include an ablation study of our training datasets in the supplementary material.